Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and to another video. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to be making a Mother's Day card. This doesn't have to be a Mother's Day card, I suppose. You could make it for birthday, christening, whatever you want to make it for. Or you could also just use the way that I've done this card as inspiration for your own shapes and your own projects. So this one is all florals. It's a Mother's Day card. It's got a beautiful decal on the side there as well. We're going to make it from start to finish, so we're going to design it in Design Space and then we are going to make it together as well. But if you want to use this whole project and you don't want to design one for yourself, you can do that as well, because this project is going to be shared on my profile, so everything is there ready for you to get started. It's a really quick project to make, probably about 30 minutes from start to finish. So if you're caught on the hop and you need a card, this is the one for you. So without any further ado, let's jump on into the video. Alright then, just before we jump into the design portion of this video and going through everything that we're going to do, I'm going to go through all the materials that I've got here and all of the tools that I'm going to be using today. So the first thing I've got over here is some foam pads. Now I've got two different types of foam pads. I have a thicker one. This is around, I'd say probably 3mm, 4mm thick, something like that. And then I've got the thin ones, which are probably verging on maybe 1-2mm thick. And I'm going to use both of these in this project because what we're going to do is lay out our flowers. So some are higher than the others, some are down lower, and then they're like sort of nestled within each other. And what I'll do is use these on top of these, or maybe two of these or two of these, just to make different heights on my card. So we're going to use two of those, and that's what the pack of the thicker ones looks like. These ones are just your standard ones. I think you can probably pick these up in Hobbycraft, but I'll link all these things down below for you so you can see them anyway. I'm going to be using a pre-made envelope today for my card, so we need to make sure that our card fits this envelope. The reason I'm not making one today is that I generally just find making envelopes a bit of a faff, and getting them to fit and having a big enough piece of cardstock is just annoying. So we're using a pre-made one today. Then I've got some white 300 GSM white cardstock. It is just your standard smooth white cardstock. It's what I use all the time. This is an A4 sheet. You're going to need your scraps as well, so scraps of whatever colours you want to use for your flowers. That is entirely up to you, and I leave that choice up to you. I'm going to grab some scraps from my boxes under my desk, and we're going to use those today as well. Then tools wise, I'm going to be using my Cricut Brayer. I use that all the time. I've got my scoring stylus here as well. I'm going to be using that because I would prefer to use this over the scoring wheel. I feel it gives a better score and it's easier and quicker, more convenient, I think, to use. I have got this Giotto pen. This is a turbo glitter pen. It's got quite a nice nib on it, as you can see there, and it fits into the Cricut adapters without adding any other adapters or anything like that. I did get these from TK Maxx, but I'll see if I can find them on Amazon, because I've got a feeling that they were a one-off. There's loads of colours that I got in the pack, and I think they were like $3.99. So they are worth looking out for if you go to TK Maxx, or I will see if I can find them as well if you're online. And then in my McLaren F1 here, I have got all my other basic tools. So my squeegee, my pick-me-up, my true control knife, weeding tools, all that sort of stuff. For some random strange reason, there is a crochet hook in here today. We've got a couple of my favourite pens that I also use in the Cricut, so one of my Doodles glitter pens and stuff like that. So those are all in there ready to use also. I'm going to be using a Cricut Maker today. It is the original Maker. It doesn't really perform any differently to the newer machines, the only difference being that it is a little bit slower than the other machines, but to be perfectly honest, that does not bother me, so I won't be upgrading at the moment, even though the new machines have just been released, haven't they? Has anybody got one of those? I'd love to hear what you think about it if you have. So let's jump into Cricut Design Space, and we're going to get this design up on the screen. This design is going to be available for you as well. So let's go over to Design Space and get started. Here we are then in Cricut Design Space, and this is the project that we're going to be basing our project upon today. This is a birthday flower card that I made this week for my niece, and I thought it'd be nice to make this for a Mother's Day card as well. So I'm going to remake it with you today, and we're going to save it as a Mother's Day card, but we're going to use this one for inspiration at the moment. If you do want to use this particular project, it will be available on my profile, so you can use that. Please feel free to do so. I am going to share this one on Sunday when this video goes live, so you'll be able to pick it up. If you don't know how to find a profile in Cricut Design Space, I will link a short video now above and below so you can learn how to do that. It's like literally 3 minutes long, so it's super quick to watch and to learn something new in Design Space. So this is the one I'm going to use. As you can see, I have several different items on the screen that I'm using. I've got this flower, I've got a font as well that is on there. I'm not sure why the font's on there, to be perfectly honest, because I'm not sure where that's been used. That's interesting. Then I have a basic free square and this birthday queen as well. They are Cricut Access images. If you're not a Cricut Access subscriber, I would probably just suggest either using your own images or making something up in Design Space for yourself. It's pretty easy to do that. But if you're a Design Space subscriber, you will be able to use everything on here for free. So let's go through to customize for now. We're going to replace that. So these are all individual flowers at the moment on here, and as you can see, they're all overlapping one another. So to create this effect, that's how I'm going to use those foam pads that I showed you earlier on. So let's just group all this together and just move it over to one side for now. First thing that we want to do is measure our envelope and make sure that our piece of card is going to be the right size. So this envelope is about just over 11 centimeters by just over 16 centimeters, so we want to make sure that our piece of card is going to be the right size for that. So let's go over here to shapes. We're going to get a basic square on the screen, and then what we're going to do is come up to sizing here and unlock this padlock. So the padlock being unlocked means that when we size our square, it isn't going to automatically size the other side of the square, because if it was locked and I change that to say 10, it's going to do exactly the same on the other side for us, and we don't want that this time, because we want it to be longer on the one side and shorter on the other side so that we can fold it in half to make our card. So we need to unlock that padlock. So the width on this then is going to need to be, I think I'm going to go about 10.5, so 21 for our width, and then for our height it needs to be 15.8, shall we say? I think that's a pretty good one. Let's type that into the height, 15.8, and enter. So now what we need to do is make sure that we close that padlock, because if we accidentally start to move these around, we may find that we accidentally do that and then our sizes are all skew-whiff again. So let's close that off. That is our card there now. Let's change the colour of it to white so it's more representative of what we're using. Now what we're going to do is grab ourselves a scoring line. So you want to come over here to shapes again, and at the top in the free section you've got this line. Now it can either be a cutting line or a scoring line. At the moment it's a scoring line, so we click on that, close that menu down. We want to just bring it over here, and we can now make that the same height as our card. So our height is 15.8. If we click on there and then we click in this box, and we can change that to 15.8, and it's there. The next thing to do is make sure that it's central. So we want to select both the card and the line. So if we do that by dragging over those two items, and then we come up here to the align menu, and you want to just click on that little drop down, and then you've got all these different options. So we want to center it horizontally, so let's click on center horizontally, and that is now definitely in the middle of there. We want to make sure everything's selected again, and then we come down to the bottom here and click on attach, and that means now that when we move that around, the card and the scoring line are both held on together and basically glued together so that we can work now on putting our flowers on. So I am going to take the flowers from this card, so I'm just going to ungroup that again. I'm going to just use these, and I'm going to pull them. Let's just send that to the back. So I'm going to pull these over here. Now they don't have to be the same colours that I'm using. You can do whatever you like. I just did this as a neon because it was for a 13-year-old for her birthday this week. But if you want to make something a little less bright, that's absolutely up to you. Let's then find ourselves a nice Happy Mother's Day slogan to go in this corner. So we're going to come over to images, and I'm going to type in Happy Mother's, help if I could spell, doesn't it? Goodness me. Happy Mother's Day. And then I'm going to go down here to the advanced search. Now the reason I'm going to advanced search is because a lot of these are suitable for cutting with vinyl or cutting on cardstock, but what we want to do is write. So we need to make sure that it is a written image, so we want to draw. So our operation type here, we can come down and just click in that box, and now it's just going to give us all of these Happy Mother's Days that we can use for drawing. So let's have a look, which one do we like? We want something pretty, don't we? But not too big. There's not that many, so I think I'll go with just this one. Very simple. It's quite cute, isn't it, that? Let's add that to the canvas and we'll see how we get on with it. Let's go back to the canvas and have a look. That looks quite nice. If we close that down, what we could do is either put that at the top, or we could turn it, so we can use our little handle on the corner to turn that. We can put it in there, and then what we can do is actually put in maybe another flower of that size. So we can click on it and duplicate it from this icon here, and then just pull that up there, and then that just fills in that corner a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is just I won't delete them, I'll just hide both of those for now. So we've got all of our flowers on here. It looks really lovely, doesn't it? So what we can do now is make sure that this is all going to cut right. So at the moment we've got this little decal here, we've got our score line, our card, and all of these flowers. But if we go through to make at the moment, I'll show you what's going to happen. Because we haven't attached our Happy Mother's Day onto our card, it's going to treat that as a separate layer. So we need to make sure that we've got that added onto here. So if we go back to the canvas, and what we want to do is just select, if we just select that little corner there, it's going to pick up the score line, the card, and that decal. The reason that it does that is because the card and the score line are already attached to one another. So we've got all three things there now, and we want to attach them again. So come down to attach, hit attach, and you'll see all my flowers have disappeared. Don't worry, it's still there. For some reason, when you do an action like that, it brings everything to the front. So if you just right click and go down to send to back, and that is all back as it was. Now what we're going to have is all of the colours of the flowers on different mats, and then we're going to have one mat with our card and our decal. So let's just double check that, go through to make. There we go. As you can see, that has changed. It's perfect. Then we've got all of our different colours here. So you can now choose whatever colours you want to do for your flowers. So that's what I'm going to do next, is go and cut everything out. I'll go through this mat with you first of all. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory for cutting the cardstock flowers, but I'm going to show you how to do this one. So let's click on continue, and it's going to find my machine. And I'm going to just choose the one I'm using. I'm using Bluetooth today. I do find it a little bit slow, but hopefully it will find my machine pretty quickly today. While that's looking for that, I'll just show you how the next section is going to work. So this mat has got 3 actions that it's going to do. We've got score. Oh dear, I keep getting this. This is stupid. I don't know why. Let's just turn off the machine. You'll hear it in the background. Turn it back on. Click on OK. Let's let it run through its start procedure. Let's try that again. Right, so as I was saying, this mat has got 3 different operations that it's going to do. It has a score, it's got the pen for the drawing, and then it has basic cut. This is the order that it will do everything in. So if you are unsure, this is the best thing to do. Just double check that you've got score, pen, and then cut. So we're going to be using poster board today. It's a setting that I use nearly every day of the week. Now, because I am using my scoring stylus rather than my scoring wheel, I do need to edit the tools. So on number 2 here, if I go on edit tools, and I can now change whatever scoring tool I want. So I can use the double scoring wheel, I can use the single one, or I can use my scoring stylus. I'm going to click on scoring stylus and apply. I don't need to change my fine point blade, that's absolutely perfect. So let's head over to my desk now and get the mat set up ready to go. Here is our Cricut cutting mat then. This is a light grip one. It probably is going to need a little bit of help holding on to this in the corners, so I'm going to use some masking tape as well. I'm just going to place that down, then grab my masking tape and just, I don't need loads, just a couple of small pieces on either side, and it's just going to give that a little bit of help to hold on. This mat's been used quite a lot, so it's not as sticky as it should be. I'm going to give it a good old bray as well. I apologise if this is wobbly. My desk is super wobbly since I've moved rooms, and I don't know what to do about it. I just need to find my other adapter. So I'm using another adapter for my scoring, and the reason that I'm using that is because I've stretched the other one when using pens in it. So this is the one I'm going to use today. I'm going to now set up my machine ready to go. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is, if you are changing this over, you need to take out the other one of these. The only reason that I am doing that is because I have used pens in it that have stretched it. So I've got one that's marked pen and I've got one that's marked score. I'm just going to pop that one into there, and then I'm going to put in my scoring stylus down to there. Then what I'm going to do is put my mat into my machine, and I'm going to hit the insert mat button. We are ready to go. It's going to be super quick. It's literally going to just do one score down the page. So let's do that. So now on the screen it's telling us what we need to do next. So it's saying that it's done the score. You can see that in the background with the 100%. Then it's telling us that we need to load our pen, and we need to press the go button again to resume that. So that is what we're going to do next. So I'm just going to open clamp A. Make sure that you don't eject the mat or anything like that at this stage. I'm opening clamp A. I'm taking out that scoring stylus. Because I need to change my adapter, I'm also taking that out as well. So I've got my other adapter here. I'm going to pop that in there. And then I've got my pen here. I'm going to pop my lid on the top to make sure I don't lose it. Now with this, it's a little bit of a trial and error because you might not push the pen down enough. So I've just pushed it down enough that I can see it down here, and I think that will be okay. So let's press go and see what happens. Now it's going to move over to the cutting portion of its own accord. Okay, that is all done. Now we just want to check that it's cut through before we eject the mat. So the best way to do this is just peel up your masking tape if you've used that, and just lift up what you've got excess, and you can see that's cut nicely. So we are happy to eject the mat. Alright then, back at the desk with everything cut out. So we've got all of our flowers, we've got our card. I used 3 different types of glitter for this. So I used the rose pink, I used the pale pink, and then I used a nice bright magenta for a nice bit of a contrast. And then I've also got this pearly finish as well, which is really nice. It reflects the light lovely. And what I've also done is I've saved the little dots that were in the centres of each one of those flowers, so I'm going to put those around the card as well. I've got my card here. You might wonder why I'm holding the scoring stylus like this, because my score isn't that deep, so I think I'm going to have to go over it with a ruler and the stylus again. So I'm just going to move my flowers over a touch, and I'm going to grab my ruler. Now you need to be careful with this because you need to make sure that it's nice and straight and that you're in the indentation of that score before you start, because you don't want to mess it up now. I'm just going to go down it a couple of times. I don't really rate the scoring tools that Cricut give you, honestly, they're not very good. Right, there we go, that's folded over. Got a little bit of overhang on this side. Can you see that just there? Now that could be my error, it could be a cutting error, but you know, it's one of those things. So there's our card, nicely scored and folded. Now we've got to do then is put all our flowers on. So what I tended to do with the other one was put them on where I thought they'd look nice. I want that one there to be there, and then I'm going to just place them all over my card so that I can roughly see where I'm going to put them. Now obviously they're not going to all be flat like this, they're going to be up in the air and they're going to look quite snazzy. So that, like that sort of thing, it's up to you entirely where you put them. So that's what I'm going to do, I think. I'm going to just move them all out of the way. And I'm going to start putting on my foam pads. So I'm probably going to put all the foam pads on and then place them on as I go. But I'm going to speed it up because it's going to be quite slow going, I think. So we'll do that. I will film it, but I'll speed it up from now on in. And then if you've got any questions or anything that you want to ask, please ask them in the comments section down below, and I will answer them for you when this video goes live. So let's get on with putting everything together. Righty ho, I've got all of my flowers with their respective sticky pads on the back. We've got some that have got two different sizes. So this is a thicker one and a thinner one underneath, so that makes it quite tall off the page. And then we've got these ones here. This is just a single thin one, and that is still giving a little bit of a 3D effect, but not quite so much. But it also means that that one will sit underneath of that one. And then this one here, I think, is just a two of the thinner ones on top of one another, so that's another different height. And that's what we've done. I've got 1, 2 that are literally just going to be stuck down onto there, so I'm going to use some glue for that. I didn't show the glue I'm using, but it's this Collal all-purpose, which I use all the time, and I've got a little squeezy bottle that I use that in. So what I'm going to do now then is start sticking everything down. So I'm going to keep them on there as much as I can and just peel off these backs and just stick them in where they need to be. Where's my glue? There. So here is my glue. Of course, you can change this around as much as you like as you go along as well. You don't have to keep them in the same place. You might decide that actually you'd like that one to be a little bit different, or move it across a touch. So that one's stuck down there. Now this one is like two small ones on the back, so we're going to stick that down. Let me do this and speed it all up so that you're not sitting there watching me stick down loads of flowers, because it might be a bit boring. This is the layout then that I've chosen for my flowers. You could always add a couple more if you wanted to, maybe cut out some smaller ones if you wanted to fill this space, but what I'm going to do is use the dots that I've got from all of the flowers, and I'm just going to use the glue to put some little dots of glue around the bottom there, and then I'll grab my pick-me-up from out my box and just stick on the different dots that we've got here. Turn a few over. I might put a couple up the top here as well. Just utilising every little piece of card that you've cut then, and it just makes it look quite cute. I love this pick-me-up. It's such a fantastic tool. I use it nearly every single day, especially when I'm making cake toppers and I've got little dots that I need to just put on. Just makes life a little bit easier. So here is our finished card. It looks fantastic, doesn't it? How sweet is that? And we can write our message inside as well to our mum. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you've found it useful, and maybe use this card as inspiration for something for you to make yourself. It doesn't have to be flowers, it could be anything at all that you can layer up to make this 3D effect. The card looks fantastic. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you've got any questions, please ask them down below in the comments section. But please remember to be kind, and don't forget that I will see you soon for another video really soon. Take care, bye!